Tonight's species you've probably had almondine, coconut crusted, or with lemon and capers. But in either case, in order to catch a yellowtail snapper, you're gonna have to be patient, chum heavily, and fish one rod at a time. Tonight, it's all about the yellowtail snappers here on the one and only Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, powered by Harbor Trucks and presented by Yamaha.
Hello Floridians, and welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Captain Rick Murphy and I have your rockstar captains on the line ready to give you the finest fishing reports the state has to offer. And this week we're yellowtailing, right Rick?
Absolutely, Brie, and you know yellowtail is probably the most popular fish on the menus wherever you go. Anybody wants to eat saltwater fish, yellowtail snappers
is what you're
buying.
Pretty good fishing too, right? Family fun day.
Absolutely easy to catch sometimes, maybe not so much, but our captains will keep us clear on that.
Absolutely. Well, let's head on over to Dave at the CCA workbench and see what his crazy face is talking about today.
Well, we're talking about those yellowtails and how to catch them. And, you know, they are a great little fish. They're like the panfish of salt water, and everybody likes them because they're so good to eat. And we got great fishing for them here in Florida.
Perfect. Well, we're going to learn how to catch them, and we know Florence is out there churning up the seas, which have caused some serious running of the mullet. So I would set your sights on some tarpon, snook, and yellowtail this weekend. Would you agree, Mike?
I would totally agree. And you know what? It's kind of nice. Those storms kind of milk up the water when we get a swell, and that really actually improves the bottom fishing considerably. And, you know, about 2 weeks ago, the yellowtail snapper really pushed into my region. And then right at the same time, a lot of the sharks and barracuda that were around that were stealing fish from the bottom fishermen, they pretty much disappeared. So we've kind of got the perfect storm going for yellowtail right now. The best stuff is in 65 to 90 feet of water from the Lake Worth Pier all the way up to Jupiter Inlet. There's also some good fish off the Loran Tower Ledge and off the 6 Mile Reef, and even some, you know, on those shallow reefs off of Peck's Lake. You can drift the reefs using chicken rigs and squid or sardine chunks, or just fish the normal bottom rig with a whole sardine or cigar minnow, but plan on catching, you know, some mangroves and mutton snapper along with them. The guys that are really doing well on yellowtail, they're anchoring up, they're chumming with ground chum and glass minnows, and then drifting a chunk of bait back into the chum line on light tackle. A lot of guys are fishing at night for them. The juvenile sardines showed up this week at Jupiter Inlet, and they're the primo snapper baits. If you can get some of those, you're golden. But chunks of ballyhoo, cigar minnows, and pilchards, they're also good baits. The average yellowtail in my region is going to be like 1 to 3 pounds. The other thing we got going, the kingfish bite, has been off the chain since that new moon over the weekend. A lot of fish are being caught out of Palm Beach County in that Chase and Tails tournament this past weekend. They had a bunch of fish over 40 pounds, including fish of 60 and 70 pounds. And the fish were spread out off Palm Beach County in 110 to 160 feet of water between Jupiter and Palm Beach. But there's also, you know, good numbers of fish being caught all the way to Fort Pierce, particularly off Stewart in the 6 Mile Reef area. You can always pull rig mullet, ballyhoo, or ribbon fish, but slow troll them with a live sardine or a blue run or a goggle eye. That's definitely going to get you a lot more bites from the big fish. With the mullet run kicking into gear, you can throw the net, load up with live mullet. You can slow troll them on number 4 wire stinger rig. Average kingfish in my region is going to be 15 to 25 pounds. But like I said, there's some big ones out there. And I got a photo of one just to see what a big one looks like. That's the 70-pounder that was caught in the Chase and Tails tournament. That was caught by the nearly impossible fishing team.
All right, let's go inshore, Mike.
Well, the snook bite's been epic all week, particularly in the inlets where there's still a lot of slot fish and over the slot fish schooled up. Now, they're on the back end of their last spawning session. So they're going to start moving now probably with this swell. There's also a good number of fish out on the beaches off Hope Sound, off Fort Pierce, and off the Vero Cove. And all that, you know, pretty much might change with a swell from Hurricane Florence, but that will only push more fish to the bridges and to the seawalls that are near the inlets on the inside and shift their focus to mullet. In inlets, redfin, sardines, and croaker, they've been the top baits. But there's been some finger mullet schools pushing through just about every day. Seems like dawn and dusk, so mullet will also work, or anything that looks like a mullet. Fort Pierce, around the inlet there, a chartreuse redtail hawk, jig, or a green and silver swimming plug, that's been working on the fish at night. The finger mullet are stacking up in the Indian River as well between Jensen Beach and the Turning Basin and Fort Pierce. So that's all primo topwater plug stuff. The average snook in my region is going to be 8 to 18 pounds. I got a photo. That's Tyler Perret and his girlfriend McKay with a nice snook they caught. They were throwing topwater plugs on the shoreline in Stewart. Now, the other thing, I was talking to Jason Arman of That's Our Man Land-Based Fishing Charters. He's been on a consistent spotted sea trout fight the last 2 weeks in the Indian River Lagoon. Everything for sea trout right now is going in the Indian River. Most of the action is in St. Lucie and Indian River counties. The real key, you want to be on the water before dawn because a bite only lasts about 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Look for any areas with seagrass, but also watch for the mullet schools. A lot of the larger sea trout are coming right out of the middle of the mullet school. It seems like they're just in with the mullet. The fish are focused on mullet as well as on juvenile pilchards, particularly around the sandbars that have drop-offs, like the double bars off Middle Cove, around Bear Point, the Northbridge Flat, and the Mornings Flat off Vero Beach. So get out there early, throw saltwater assassin dye dappers in the Papa Smurf, the Panhandle Moon, or the mullet colors. You can throw topwater plugs. You can throw 4-inch saltwater assassin shads in the pilchard colors. The average sea trout's going to be 2 to 4 pounds.
All right, Mike, we talk about bass every week. What have you heard?
Well, the peacock bass are one of the few species that aren't bothered by the summer heat. I was talking to Captain Alan Zaramba. He's saying the South Florida peacock bass bite has been steady in all the lakes and canals in Dade and Broward counties. There's some schooling action along the canal shoreline and also near the bridges. All that's taking place right at first light. Get like a small Rapala X-Wrap or a number 9 Rapala or a tiny torpedo. That's pretty much money on those frenzied fish that are all schooled up. The C100, the C13 canals, as well as the airport lakes, those areas are producing some big fish, mostly on live shiners, but lipless crankbaits and jigs are also getting their share. And there's been a lot of good numbers coming from the lakes out of Bonaventure as well. A lot of the fish are on shoreline structure like down trees and rock ledges. You want to work those areas real tight to the bank. If you see a peacock flash on your lure and miss it, cast right back to the fish. It'll usually strike again. Average peacock bass is going to be around 3 pounds, but fish to 7 pounds caught this week.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Atlas Jackplate hotspots from the East region. Mike says inshore, snook in the St. Lucie Inlet on the incoming tide, live mullet, threadfin, sardines, or croakers are going to work for those snook. And then offshore, juvenile blackfin tunas in 200 to 400 feet of water off of Palm Beach. A live chum or troll, small feathers, or maybe even a spoon, Brie.
Oh, Rick, if anyone loves a good old yellowtail sesh, it's our captain in the Keys, Captain Randy Ta, who I know is absolutely delighted to talk about this week's species. Take it away, Randy.
One of his faves.
Yes, it is.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. You know, when we talk about yellowtails, it really is the go-to fish for the reef throughout the Keys, from Key Largo to the dry Tortugas, on any pretty much part of the reef that has a break in it. You're looking for some kind of bottom structure, and a break, a drop-off, anything like that is going to be a key sign that that may be a good area. Now, conditions play a big part, and what you would like to have is current. When water's moving and you're chumming, it acts as a conveyor belt, and you can bring those fish to you. And that's the idea with the chum, is to be stationary and have the fish come to you. So current is important. Cloudy water where you can't see the bottom and about 60 or 90 feet is also ideal, because remember, if you can see the bottom, they can probably see you, and it's going to make it tougher to get them to bite. Now, once you're anchored and you got your chum going, you want to be patient, because a lot of times you'll see them come up behind the boat, and the first thing you want to do is grab a rod and throw it out there, and sometimes that can be a disadvantage because the fish will feel the pressure of that, believe it or not, and they'll stay way back, and it'll be hard to get them back up closer to the boat. When you have them closer to the boat, it also makes it easier to get the fish to the boat instead of the predators like the kudas and the sharks eating them off if you have to fish way back. So that's where the patience come in. A small piece of chum on a number 4 hook and just let it float out with the current is going to do the job. I don't like to use anything heavier than about 12-pound test. I like a fluorocarbon of about 14-pound test is my favorite that I fish with. And a lot of times when you hook that fish, have another rod ready and deploy it. As soon as that fish is coming to the boat, put another one out. And I've got a photo of Captain James Simsick and he's with Spear Crazy Charters at a Marathon. This was a recent Tortuga trip, and I got to tell you, there's some big fish down that way.
You're absolutely right. What else you got for us offshore this week, Bub?
Queen snappers. You know, it's not a real popular fish that everybody talks about, but it's one of our great deep water bottom fish that guys will take advantage of, especially right now when you're offshore. You're looking for dolphin, things are slow, you're not coming up with much, and guys will break up the time, and they have electric reels because you're in about 600 to 900 feet is kind of the average depth where you're going to find these queen snappers, and a chicken rig with 3 or 4, maybe even 5 hooks on it and enough lead to get to the bottom is what you're going to need. Now, usually out there you have current, so what you want to do is power into the current so that your line stays vertical. You don't want a big belly in your line and drag it across the bottom. You want to try to stay up and down with it and move with the current, and that's the little trick right there to catch these queen snappers. Now, one of the guys I talk about a lot, Captain Brian Cohn, with his boat, the Contagious, is really good at catching a lot of things, but this is what he's been catching the last few days.
Oh, you got a picture there for us?
Got a photo of that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Man, that is a nice queen snapper. Whoa.
He dressed for the occasion, too.
Yes, he did. All right, let's go inshore, Bubba.
Triple tails, you know, right now the incoming tide has been really favorable for everything, for the tarpon in the morning, for the snook and the redfish during the day, and that's going to bring these triple tails from the Gulf inshore along the beaches and along those big passes just north of Sandy Key and also below Sandy Key, and you're going to see their white bellies from a pretty good distance away, and that's one key sign of locating them. And also, as the commercial guys get out and they put their traps out, they love to get behind the trap buoys, so a lot of times you can run the trap line and actually find quite a few triple tails laying behind the buoys. Now, a light spinning rod with a piece of shrimp works really well, but you got to have an accurate cast literally on top of their head because they're not going to swim too far from their buoy, and a lot of times they're a little sensitive if they're not on a buoy the way you approach them, so you can spook them with the engine. A good cast on top of the head, they'll usually turn right around and eat it. And I've got a picture of Captain Frankie Ortiz, who has been red hot on catching triple tails like this one.
All right, tell me about the permit.
You know, the tides right now have been pretty high. They've been pretty strong, and that's a key sign for permit. Permit love high tides. They love strong current throughout the Keys, the upper Keys, the lower Keys, Key West, and guys are looking for these permit on both sides. You got them on the ocean side, on the rocky edges. You've got them on the bay side, and the timing for these usually is about an hour or two around the high tide, and then the first part of the fall, and you're going to find these fish. There was a big tournament this past weekend, the Redbone Slam in Key West, and I've got a photo of Captain Richard Black with his angler Jim Bokar with their winning permit.
Man, that's a nice fish. All right, thank you so much, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys. Randy suggests that this weekend we go inshore fishing for bonefish. Fish early in the morning on the bayside flats and then go ocean side in the afternoon for swimming fish on the high tide, and then offshore yellowtails. Look for the current on the reefs in 70 to 90 feet of water. Chum heavily, be patient, and let them come to you before you start fishing, Brie.
Patience is a virtue.
You've been fishing that way your whole life.
I have. I've just let them come to me. All right, let's check out some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, shall we?
We shall.
All right. The second tournament in the Redbone Trilogy, set for October 5th through the 7th, the Baybone Celebrity Tournament in Isla Mirada targets permit and bonefish to raise money for cystic fibrosis research and treatment. The Isla Mirada Fall All-Tackle Bonefish and Permit Championship, set for October 7th through the 10th, awards trophies for releases of the 3 longest bonefish and the 3 longest permit. Hosted by the Lower Keys Guides Association to benefit the Guides Trust Foundation, the Sugarloaf Showdown Inshore Fishing Tournament, set for November 1st through the 3rd, targets release of barracuda, bonefish, and permit. And now let's check in with Andy Newman to see what tournament he's featuring.
Well, hi guys. It's billed as the No Yellin' School of Fishing. We're talking about the annual Ladies Let's Go Fishing Seminar, set for October 19th to the 21st in the Upper Florida Keys. There's great instruction on just about every aspect of fishing, especially for the beginning angler. And the final day features optional offshore or backcountry fishing trips. More details at ladiesletsgofishing.com. And for more information on all fishing tournaments in the Florida Keys, it's always flakeys.com.
Those ladies are always on set with us in our audience, and they're fantastic.
I know. We need to have more lady shows.
No yelling, School of Fishing, Rick. You don't yell. You're really nice on the boat, I have to say.
Well,
Say thank you. Say thank you.
It's because you do what I ask you to do.
True, I listen. I do listen. Another fun tournament to look out for is the Maverick Boat Group Owners Tournament, September 27th through the 30th in Islamorada out of the Breezy Palms Resort. This family-oriented tournament is open to Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia boat owners, where there will be great food and great fishing, of course, while competing to win a ton of prizes. For more information, go to any of the brand websites and click on the Owners Events tab on the Owners page. All right, get ready, anglers. We're chumming in the Central West region, and then we're catching up with Dave at the CCA workbench for rigs and techniques. What do you want?
I'm getting in trouble because I'm throwing oats. I'm throwing oats everywhere. Somebody's gonna have
to.
Somebody's gonna have to pick all this up.
That would be you, Dave.
You are.
Oh man, they don't have no brooms in here.
He'll be here with a vacuum.
You gotta spray it.
Oh my God.
Get it out there.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Always in the game. SiriusXM Marine. Weather, fishing info, and channel surfing. Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet. And Seasucker. Get pumped.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower, or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
If you want to set your fishing on fire, check out the new Ricky Red rods by Akuma. I've personally designed these rods to make you a better fisherman. This graphite rod is light, strong, and very well balanced, and it will feel great in your hand. And the Fuji reel seats and guides will accommodate your favorite size reel. I love them so much that I even put my name on it. Ricky Red Rods by Akuma.
Welcome back. Here's a look at the FWC news and notes. September 17th is the Volunteer Oyster Reef Restoration in Panama City, and September 18th is the Crystal River PS Boating Course. For more information, visit myfwc.com. But now let's head to the CCA workbench for some rigs and techniques.
So we're here at the Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Look how fast
Rigs and
they clean that
Techniques,
stuff
and
up.
certainly the CCA workbench. And Dave, if you ever do that again,
oh, I will.
I'm going to let Freddie and Ben
I'll do far worse
have
than that.
their way with you after the show.
I've made way worse.
Yes, you have. Worse messes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're talking about Yellowtail snapper, and he's one of the easiest snapper for us to identify of all the snappers. You know, a lot of people have a hard time trying to figure them all out. He's not one of them. He's got a big, beautiful yellow tail, big yellow stripe down his side, and little yellow spots on his top. And that tail is his power. For a small fish, he's got a lot of power, and that it's because of that big tail, that big V tail that he has. Now, most of the time in Florida, you're going to be catching them, like Randy was saying, between 30 and 120 feet of water. They're going to be around a reef or a wreck in clear water usually. And you're wanting to have some current. In Florida, you know, you can catch them up to 5 pounds. Oof. You know, the biggest one I ever caught was about 5 pounds, and I caught them on a head boat with a kingfish rig, a whole ballyhoo on a triple hook, you know, trying to catch a kingfish. And I thought I had a kingfish on because it was a big a big yellowtail snapper. And I gave that thing to my father-in-law. It was like I gave him a gold Rolex watch. He loved those yellowtail snappers, and he really liked that one. But, you know, they get up, I think the world record, the Florida state record's 8 pounds. Caught up by Fort Pierce, so you can catch a great big one.
So how are we going to catch them?
Well, you got to use some chum, and you know, chum is it's kind of a dual-edged sword. You know, you got to be careful with it. You know, you don't want to overfeed them, but you got to keep some chum out there, and you're going to use a fine, you know, a
Menhaden chum.
Yeah, and put this in your chum bag.
A big whole chum bag.
Yeah, exactly, and you want to put one. Usually, you can put one on each side of the boat. You know, and use the extra fine though, because it's not putting out great big chunks that'll fill them up. We just want them to get out there. And when you first stop, you know, you don't want to start fishing for them immediately. You want to give your chum time to work. You know, you put your anchor out and you wait, and you put your chum out and you start get you some old rolled oats. You know, you can get these from any grocery store. You don't have to go to a feed and seed. Just get the rolled oats. They're very cheap. They're a lot cheaper than if you go to a specialty store and try to get them. But you soak some of those in some water, and you just not till they're soup, but you know, get them nice and soggy, and then you just throw some of those out. Broadcast those. A ladle full. Yeah, every like 5 minutes or so. And once you let that chum work and everything, the current takes it back, and they start rising to those oats, you'll see that golden cloud, as Randy likes to call it. Right. And that big golden cloud comes up, and that's when you start putting your baits out to fish for them. Now you can start with 2 guys, like we did with Randy. Yeah. You know, you put your 2 baits out. You put a little shrimp or a silver side on a live bait hook, a 2-aught or a 3-aught, you know, depending on the size of the fish. Or how deep you are, you can actually even put one on a jig head. You know, we fished one day with Randy. All we did was fish with shrimp on jig heads. Right. You know, 1/8-ounce jig heads. So, you know, you just want to try to follow your chum down, have your bait falling at the same rate as the chum, and as soon as, you know, with the free spool.
Is that you're in free spool.
Exactly.
Guys, this is how it looks. This is how it looks.
Yep.
You're just constantly
letting line out, and all of a sudden you'll feel a tap, and it'll start to accelerate. Right. Tap, and then it'll accelerate, and then you just wind.
Just wind.
You don't have to jerk. You don't have to do any of that. Just wind, 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 and he'll come tight. And if he doesn't come tight, you bring it in and you put another shrimp out.
So 10-pound mono or 12-pound mono straight to the hook is what we used with Randy.
Yes. You don't want to be messing around, because they've got really good eyesight, and so good, in fact, that if you start catching a couple and then the bite stops, stop fishing for a few minutes. Or just put one bait out at a time. Yeah. Because if you start, having 3 or 4 people putting baits out back there, they get spooked and they don't like it. So you got to be patient with them, and you'll catch a lot more if you're patient and let your chum do its work and don't overfeed them. Just do real slow. Every 3 to 5 minutes, broadcast some of those oats, and make sure that you're using fine chum in a fine bag that's not letting big chunks back there and filling them all up.
And if they stop biting, guys, just stop fishing for a few minutes.
Correct.
Keep broadcasting the oats. Keep shaking the chum bag. You might have to reload your chum bag because you might have been there for a while.
I wouldn't leave without 5 or 6 boxes at least. You don't want to go out there with 1 box of chum. Bring a bunch. You can't have too much.
All right, Bree, we need to chum another region. Where are we going next?
Yes, we do. The Star-Charn Central West region has options when it comes to some schnappers, and Captain Jeff Page is laying them out for you. Hey, Page.
You know that's right, but I'll tell you what, Dave, I think I'll take the gold Rolex. Hey, in that Star-Charn Central West region, the yellowtail snapper may not be as prevalent as it is down towards Randy Cow's region, but it's pretty good. And just like his cousin, the mangrove snapper, there are plenty of times where you can get them fired up with, like you said, Dave, the small particles chum blocks. You don't want the big chunks going out. A lot of guys over here, what they like to do is get over their area and then use light leader, or just what Rick said, straight mono to the small hook. You can use a little split shot weight, or a little trick Randy taught me was it's a weighted snapper hook with a it sometimes has a little bit of paint on it, and the lead is welded right on to the shank of the hook. And then use a small piece of shrimp or a small piece of cut bait, and you're going to have your limit pretty quick. Seems like in my region, the snappers like the ledges and the smaller areas of hard bottom and reefs and the big giant reefs. So anyway, that's just a couple tips. I've got a photo tonight of a nice catch of yellowtails that Captain Jason Stock of JM Snooky Charters had on the fillet table.
All right, what you got else?
The red grouper fishing remains strong. We have had some more fluctuation of red tide, but it hasn't ate up our whole region. So guys getting offshore, what they're doing, Rick, is they're taking plenty of frozen bait with them, chum blocks as well as sardines, and then once they get out into the clean water, they're sabikiing up their pinfish, their blue runners, etc. And the number right now has been 110 to 140 feet of water over big hard bottom areas and Swiss cheese bottom areas. And don't be surprised if you don't get a big gag mixed in with it. Captain Eric White's been doing real well, limiting out. He's been going straight out of Venice. And what he's been doing, like I said, is bringing the frozen bait as well as sabikiing up his bait once he gets out there. And here's a picture tonight of a big red grouper that he caught with a couple happy clients. Moving inshore, redfish, just like I said last week, red fishing has been consistent throughout the entire region, where I'm getting good reports from guys down south in Charlotte Harbor, on the east side from Burnt Store to Pirate Harbor, and then also along the west wall and all the barrier islands inside of the barrier islands, which would be on the outside of Turtle, Bull Bay, and Whiddens Creek. On the high tide, guys are fishing up over the oyster bars and closer to the mangroves, using cut ladyfish or live pinfish under a cork. And then I've been playing with the new clear gold flake saltwater assassin 5-inch jerkbait rigged on an 1/8-ounce weedless mustad hook. Got a redfish photo tonight of Cy DeAngelis, Jacksonville. He was fishing with me last week, and he got a real nice, got a couple actually, but that was the best one. Final species of the night, tarpon. You know how late season tarpon are, Rick. Once they start eating, they hit about anything, and that rainwater gets them fired up. Well, the mouth of the Manatee River, as well as the Peace River and the Myakka River, same game. Take your time. You find the fish feeding, you're going to catch them. A lot of times they're feeding on that small hatch bait, those small groups of red minnows where they get real tight. See the tarpons rolling in them. You can put a live free-line pilchard, a live pinfish under a cork, or you can throw a DOA bait buster in it, and even surface plugs when they're really frenzying. And you're going to have good luck. Our last photo tonight is a happy client with a nice smaller size tarpon he got with Captain Larry Maroon.
All right, thank you so much, Captain Page. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck Central West hotspots. He says offshore, lots of permit on the wrecks and reefs, an 11 to 15 mile range off of Anna Maria, and then inshore, catch and release snook fishing remains strong along the west wall of Charlotte Harbor. Brie?
What you got else, Rick?
This cold's got me backwards.
I can tell. All right.
You're lucky I'm sitting facing this way.
I know, okay. Since we're in Daiquiri Deck territory,
yes,
I want to tell everyone about your meet and greet.
Okay.
Come meet this guy, Jeff Hageman and Jeff Page, at Daiquiri Deck in Siesta Key, October 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. for some photos, giveaways, fish stories, and of course, daiquiris.
That's right.
Gotta have
We're
them
doubling
daiquiris
down
at
on the
Daiquiri
Jeffs.
Deck. Yes, we are. We're going to have 2 Jeffs there. And on October 3rd, I will be joining Rick, Jeff Page, and Jeff Hageman for the Harbor Truck Seminar in Port Charlotte from 4:30 to 8 p.m. So come on over, get to know us, ask some questions, and check out some Harbor Trucks vehicles. Also, our partners at Harbor Trucks have set up a special number with exclusive discounts, and that is very sweet of them.
Special pricing.
1-833-GOT-TRUCKS.
I got some trucks.
You got trucks?
I got lots of trucks.
We got a new truck on set, and it's so pretty. I love it. All right, the Southeast and Southwest region captains are standing by with your weekend catch, so stay hooked on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and we will be right back.
There's
there
that
it
pretty
is.
truck.
That's what I was talking about. It's beautiful.
Sexy.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Swift, Silent, Secure, Bass Assassin, and Saltwater Assassin. The best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, any fish, any water, since 1958. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're going to get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower, or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
For many boat owners that trailer their boats, a lot of their investment and maintenance has gone into the boat and not the trailer. After years of wear and tear, boat owners are bringing their boat and trailer to Ameritrail to replace the trailer.
This is frequent. We do this a lot. We replace trailers very frequently. But you see more and more out there that people do need to replace. So we really enjoy bringing an older boat in, seeing somebody wanting to upgrade in their trailer and build the trailer that they need so they can get into the water and back out of the water easy.
With today's technology and materials, a boat owner can dump a cheap galvanized trailer and build a custom ride for his saltwater boat, ski boat, bass boat, runabouts, and even cruisers. And with an existing mold or a computer-assisted design.
What we do is run all aluminum together, so we don't have the dissimilar metals any longer. We're running stainless parts, stainless U-bolts versus your galvanized U-bolts. So again, everything inside is going to be all aluminum. We're running target bunks all the way to as far forward as we can, so when you drive on, your keel catches and you get a good drive on every single time. What we use today is a capped lug nut, solid stainless. You have a lug nut that's showing the open part of the stud sticking out. In the event that you ever had a failure on the road, flat tire, bearing problems or anything, you're going to have a real tough time getting this off. So we're going to use a solid stainless steel lug nut, and it's going to cover the ends of the threads. So in the event you need to get it off, it'll come off easy for you.
LED lights are grounded to the truck and not to the trailer. The wheel hubs are Vortex with a 100,000-mile lubrication system. These things and more have been meticulously thought out through the years of engineering and design at Ameritrail.
Well, the Ameritrail trailer itself is just a top-notch trailer. I mean, we do everything that we can for the end user, for somebody that's purchasing the trailer. A lot of our sales actually go through boat dealers or boat manufacturers, but the end user is who we're thinking of all the time, so you can have a great day on the water and not break down on the way home.
You know, Brie, Ameritrail just makes launching a boat and putting the boat back on the trailer effortless. That's the cool part about it. It simply drives right on.
Yep, and you got to have a trusty trailer, let me tell
right.
you. All right, if you're in the Casa Vieja Southeast region, grab a buddy after work, a pub sub for dinner, and your Yellowtail gear, and head on out to the reef for some nighttime fishing. Tell us more, Captain Jimbo.
You got it, Bree, and I love my Ameritrailer on my Contender as well. All right, so Yellowtail, we've got plenty of Yellowtail here in the Southeast region, and the further south you get, the better it gets. That's because the reef gets a lot better as you go further south. And this is also a great time to target those Yellowtails, especially in the evenings when the bite is the best, and you can also beat this heat that we've had. Now, the shallow reefs and patch reefs, they hold a lot of Yellowtails, but most of these fish are going to be on the small side. So if you want to catch the nicer ones, you want to go out to a little deeper water, where those fish average from about 1 pound on up to flags of 4 pounds or more. And you want to look for hard bottom and 40 to 80 feet of water, and watch your depth machine. And you want to look for any signs of fish, and then anchor up and start chumming. That's unless you have a secret spot that you want to anchor up right off the bat. Now, if you want to get really serious, you want to make some sand anodes with that chum, and you make some chum balls. And then you can also mix in some glass minnows and silver sides. That'll really sweeten up that mixture. And for Yellowtails, the more chum, the better. You can't bring enough chum out to go out and catch a bunch of Yellowtails. Now, I like to use light spinning outfits with 12 to 15 pound test and a 2-0 hook tied straight to that main line. And if you're using high vis line, you want to use a light fluorocarbon or clear monofilament leader. And best baits are bonita, squid, and cut ballyhoo, and you want to cut them into small strips, drift them back into the chum. That's what works best for most of the guys that really target those Yellowtails. And if the fish are staying deep, roll your bait into one of those tasty chum balls, and the weight of that chum in the sand, that'll sink the boat, and as it dissolves, those Yellowtails will pick it up. Also, a small jig baited with one of those strips and drift it back in the chum. That's also a great way to get your bait a little back from the boat, especially if those Yellowtails are a little boat shy and staying back. And it might take some time, but usually those fish will get chummed up and they'll come right up to the surface behind the boat. Now, staying offshore, early in the week, we had some of the best dolphin fishing that we've seen all week, especially in the Miami area. And it was due mainly to a rip in a weed line that had all the weeds, floaters, and fish concentrated in one area. But unfortunately, that rip fell apart in the last day or so. But it could reform tomorrow. You never know. So it's been back to hunting for those fish. We're looking for floaters, for patches of grass, and if that weed line forms, then the fishing should get really good. In the Miami area, though, the best fishing has been anywhere from 8 to 12 miles offshore. And as you get further to the north, that edge has been pushing off, so it gets further offshore as you go north. Now, the fish are eating trolled baits and lures, and once you do locate the fish, we've been pitching live and cut baits to them. They've been eating very good, and most of the fish have been nice sized ones, big schoolies in the 6 to 8 pound range, and there's been quite a few in even the 15 to 20 pound range. Now, there's also been a lot of bird activity offshore, but most of those birds have been over bonitas and skipjacks, but you still got to check them out, so you never know what they're going to be on. But if you see a bunch of frigates and birds working, don't get real excited, because most likely it's going to be on bonitas. Now, moving inshore, snook fishing has been really good off the oceanside beaches and also in the inlets throughout the region. Off the beaches, these snook have been cruising the troughs, the deeper water troughs that run parallel to the beaches. Best has been early in the mornings. And a lot of times, if the water's clear and it's calm like it has been, you can sight these fish with live baits, Rapala X-Wrap, subwalks, and even fly tackle. And you want to look for areas that have some bait activity. There has been some bait moving to the south. So if you can find some bait, that's where those snook are going to be followed, those bait fish. And then in the inlets, early morning and then late afternoons into the evenings has been the best on the outgoing tide, mainly because the water's been very clear on the incoming tide. And you want to fish with live pinfish, herring, croakers, whatever is the most abundant bait in your area. And you want to bounce them along the bottom using a Jupiter rig. Now, if you don't have any live bait, you can try bouncing 1 to 2 ounce jigs or soft plastics along the bottom, or even trolling Rapala magnums. Then we've also got some good permit fishing here in Biscayne Bay, south of Angelfish Creek, and just the permit prefer good weather, just like us fishermen, and we've had some good weather. So on the days with good visibility and stable weather, that means not having a lot of wind and thunder showers throughout the day. That's when those permit have been biting the best. The permit fishing has been best around the Ragged Keys, and you want to fish with 7 to 10. Oh wait, the fish have been off the Ragged Keys in the 7 to 10 pound range, and then down in the Caesars Creek and Angel Fish Creek area, the fish have been a little bigger in the 15 to 20 pound range. Look for some hard bottom with corals and good tide flow and silver dollar crabs and crab pattern flies.
All right, thank you so much, Jimbo. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the southeast hotspots. Captain Jimbo says inshore, look for the snook in all the inlets and off of the beaches in the early morning and evenings where they are eating both live and artificial baits. And then offshore, cast live and cut baits to slammer dolphin offshore around the floating debris.
Well, Rick, we always know CCA banquets are a good time,
Yes.
so join them at their 33rd annual banquet and auction at Coral Gables Country Club from 6 to 8 p.m., where there will be a live auction, raffles, dinner, and entertainment. So for more information and to purchase your tickets, go to ccaflorida.org. But now we have Captain Ronnie Houston, and he's getting chummy in the Bell's Southwest region. So let's hear what he has to say. Hey, Ronnie.
What's going on, Ronnie?
Hey, Bree, it's always a pleasure representing the Bell Southwest region. You know, the yellowtails can be caught throughout the whole region and are targeted on the offshore side. And you want to target wrecks, artificial reefs, ledges, and hard bottom. Now, yellowtails can be caught while fishing other species on the bottom, but probably the best way to catch these fish in numbers is by chumming, whether it be store-bought block chum, homemade chum, a good thing to do with sandball, or just strictly cut up pilchards and herring in small pieces. Now, once the fish are located, I strongly suggest light leaders, 20-pound fluorocarbon is fine, a 2 to 3/0 circle hook, full right, and you want to either flatline or add a little weight or even a jig head and drop the baits back, which would be squid, herring, shrimp, light tackle with a medium heavy 7-foot rod or heavy 7-foot rod. And generally, once you get the yellowtails going, ladies and gentlemen, the mangroves aren't too far away, but the key here is going to be chumming and small cut baits. Now, still on the offshore side, the red groupers. You really got to travel out a little bit further right now to catch the good quality red groupers. Marco Island to Fort Myers Beach, strictly fishing hard bottom in depths of 125 to 150 feet of water. Now you want to be either anchored up or drifting and watching for the fish on your bottom, finding to locate them. Now, big or small pieces really doesn't make a difference, but if you're catching a lot of small fish, I strongly suggest moving on. The most important thing is once you start locating good fish on your bottom finder, anchoring up is going to be the key. You have to be able to be in the zone, and baits are squid, herring, and sardines. I strongly suggest alternating your baits as you're dropping down to see what the bigger fish really want. Now, on the inshore side, the snook. Gasparilla area, Bull Bay, Turtle Bay to the north, Rabbit Key to Lostman's River to the south. Tides have been best in the last half of the incoming or the first half of the outgoing along mangrove shorelines, independent islands. The main thing here is you got to have good water movement. A variety of baits can be used. Live pilchards have been doing very well, also live pinfish, but a variety of artificial like the Rapala skitterwalks or 3 to 4 inch subsurface lures in bone, chrome, chartreuse, and olive, or the Bass Assassin 3.5 to 5 inch dye dappers and gold and silver spoons, and have some really special pictures of an event I fished over the weekend. Take a soldier fishing. First picture is Patrick Grace. Never caught a snook in his life. He fished with me. He threw plugs. First fish of his life, 34-inch snook. The good buddies of Rick and I, Mike Anderson and company, came down from Tampa. Pleasure seeing him for the event. And then Alex Rodriguez and Adam Heath. I'd like to thank the Collier County Sheriff's Department, all the fire departments, and all the volunteers involved. These guys work hard to keep it safe. Thanks to everybody involved. Also on the inshore side, the redfish. Matlassay Bridge to Alligator Creek on the east side to the north, as well as Coon Key to Jack Daniels Key to the south. Tides here again are the last half of the incoming to the first half of the outgoing. Mangrove shorelines and independent islands, but you want to concentrate here for the reds in Deadwood, blowdowns, troughs, and potholes. Slack tide, the bite seems to be a little bit slow, but the key baits have been live pilchards, cut mullet, cut ladyfish, live pinfish, topwater walk the dog lures, 3 to 4 inch artificial shrimp imitations, as well as gold and silver spoons, And I have another special picture of a soldier that was involved in the event with a nice 36-inch redfish. Thank you for everybody who showed up. Get out and get you some fish this weekend.
Hey, Ronnie, I got a question for you. You know, next year when they have that, I'd love to participate. I'd love to bring Brie, but we need to have some advance notice. So as soon as you hear about the dates, we'd love to come over and meet all the veterans. What do you think?
Nothing like getting the superstars with Rick Murphy, Brie Gabrielle, and Michael Anderson. It's been a great event. It is something you won't want to miss, and I'll guarantee you, Rick, you're going to want to come back every year.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Coosa cast net hotspots from the Bell Southwest region. Offshore, king mackerel stump past to Fort Myers Beach, fishing the wrecks and hard bottom 55 to 75 feet of water by trolling silver spoons, large lip plugs, live herring or blue runners, and then inshore Pompano, Pine Island Sound to Charlotte Harbor, fishing sandbars and grass flats using tube lures. 3 to 4 inch soft plastic bucktails tipped with shrimp. Look for the skipping fish.
I would be so honored to be a part of that next year. That would be
just
very cool. We're going to do it.
Okay.
All right, stay with us, anglers. Up next, we're heading to the Northwest region, but first we're seeing what Dave is kicking up at the workbench for some new products.
We got some cool stuff here.
That is pretty neat.
We're going to see how it measures up. Hey, look
How
how
it measures up. That was a good one. That was a good one. We'll be back with more jokes. More jokes.
Not bad for an old dude.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Soft Science, Supreme Comfort Footwear. Real Legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Yeah? Stop working right now! Look outside. Is this spreadsheet weather? No, it's not. This is fishing weather. So stop clicking, get out there, and catch a bass. Stop what you're doing and start fishing Rapala Ripstop.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
So Dave, we're here at the CCA workbench, and as they used to say when my guys were little in my house, it's me turn.
Oh, yes, it is.
So it's my turn.
Yes, it is. You're going to start talking about some of these Rapalas and the new colors and the natural colors.
The reason why I thought this would be so time sensitive is because right now we've got pilchards in the ecosystem, and Rapala's created this twitching mullet, but in many, many different colors. Here's a good example. You have one imitates a mullet, silver mullet, and then this is the pilchard. So it's important this time of year to make sure that we're matching the hatch.
Well, the mullet are running
so
right
as
now.
the mullet are migrating in, you might switch from what was the pilchard color, because we had lots of pilchards throughout the summer and white bait and whatnot. That's what it's called obviously on the West Coast, to now you could come in with this silver, same silhouette, but the whole idea is that we're now matching the hatch.
Looks like a little mullet.
on the Gulf Coast, one of the things that's happening is the little silver sides. Now, Rapala calls this the mangrove minnow, but you can tell it has a silver stripe running through it.
Yeah.
Now, this is the shape of a finger mullet as well. So you're, again, matching the silhouette shapes that they're using. This is the subwalk in the small size. And then the other thing that they've created in the new coastal saltwater series is a pinfish color.
Yeah.
Now this is obviously in a magnum color or an X-Wrap long cast, so it goes deep. Single hooks, much more conservation oriented.
Yep.
We've talked about these in the past, but I just thought the colors this time of year, we've got a lot of bait fish in the system, and it's important to make sure you match what you see.
Right, it's very important.
So
also, Rapala just come out with this really cool 60-inch retractable ruler. What's really cool about this is it's spring-loaded, so it's easy to store on the boat. It's it's got the oversized numbers on it. It's non-reflective, so when the sun's shining on it, you can see the great big numbers they've got on there. Long-lasting material, UV resistant, and it's got a little flip-up nose board on the end. That thing will flip up for you. You can put his nose right up against there. Just a really cool little thing from Rapala.
And the cool part is, again, push this button
and
on
it
the
sucks
side.
right up in there. That's right.
God dang it!
It
I
got you again.
I did it in a commercial break, and
Well, there
I
you
did
go.
it again.
Next, we got that's by Rapala, by the way. Next, we got this sea sucker. This is the 2-cup holder. It's got the 2 cup holders and the large dry box. Right. And I actually have this on my boat. I put it on my little Hell's Bay. This is where all my keys and my wallet and my phone goes in there. And plus I got 2 big beverage holders. And this thing, it's got one 4.5-inch sea sucker that'll go on a cooler, it'll go on your little side console, it'll go on.
I like the fact that it has different size.
Yep.
So that you can put in big cups as well as small water bottles.
Right. And it'll go, any place horizontal where you got a 4.5-inch spot to put it. So,
yes, sir. Good job.
I love that
Chucky
thing.
and the boys over at Sea Sucker.
Yeah, it does a really good job. All right, here we got some Williamson, the rotating butterfly jig. You can't really beat a butterfly jig. I mean, they work so good. These are really finely made. They got that heavy duty ball bearing swivel in there. That's the rotating part of it. And that allows you to tie directly to the solid ring, and you don't have to, and that means that jig will never stop. When it's floating down, fluttering down, it can spin and spin and spin. And it's got 2 colors, one on one side and one on the other, so that it actually adds to that flashing when it's sinking. And it's got a premium VMC hook on there, ultra strong solid rings on everything. And you go to Williamson Lures and get you some really good butterfly jigs.
Instead of jerking this real hard like a traditional jigs, butterfly jigs, fish it like a spoon. Let it hit the bottom and then just reel it back quickly and watch what happens.
Put a piece of squid on there too. It'll actually, that's a secret. It'll really work good. This is a really cool little thing. This is the Boone King Zig, and it's made by Dave Workman for Boone. Dave Workman's just caught a ton of kingfish, and this thing is like the old spoon plug that I used to use for bass back in the day. But this thing is just a big metal digger that zigzags all over the place at really slow speeds, or up to 9 knots. Actually, it's got 2 different places where you can attach your hook, so you can go deeper or shallower. Shallower. So
Dayquil, get you every time.
6.5 inch and 2 ounces, and it comes in gold, silver, or a green Dorado color. And if you want to catch a wahoo, a kingfish, a Dorado will even eat that thing. Go ahead and try one of those.
All right, I think I'm gonna try all of these. What do you think, Brie?
You two over there. What you got else? And Shaller. I love it.
Shaller.
I love it.
Shaller.
Captain Jeff Hageman in the Flagler Construction Northwest region is talking yellowtail and so much more. So let's see what you'll be hooking up to this weekend. Hey, Jeff.
Oh, yellowtail, one of my favorites to eat. Nothing better than a whole fried yellowtail. We've actually got a really good yellowtail snapper fishery in the southern part of my region. Most of the fish are caught in depths from that 60 to 120 foot of water over major structure like wrecks, the pipeline connection, hard bottom in our area. All the techniques from South Florida will work up here, anchoring up tide to structure. It works well. Putting chum bags out, rolled oats, dry chum mix, cut sardine, or a mixture of all of these will help these get these fish up off the bottom and easier to catch. And making it easier to catch is a big deal in my region because if you catch them down deep, we've got all these predator fish that will eat them and love to eat them too, glass grouper, barracudas, and sharks. So bringing them up out of that water column will help you land a whole lot more fish. Our fish are a little bigger than in the south, average-wise. We get fish from 1.5 to 3.5 pounds, and some even bigger than that. But 12-pound mono, the smallest hook you can put on there, and just tipped it with a little bit of shrimp or cut sardine, and free line them up in the tide. And I've got a photo here. I got a couple of photos. Captain Harry Connor turned out of some nice West Coast yellowtail snapper.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us, bub?
The gag grouper bite seems to be remaining pretty steady all week. Good bite first light and again at noon with that moon we just had. Most of the guys are catching the good fish in a little deeper water in that 120 to 250 over rock piles and ledges. The current's been a little strong out there because of that moon, so you want to use a little bit more lead to get to the bottom. 10 to 16 ounces of lead, live pinfish or a live pigfish bait on a standard bottom rig. I got a photo here of me and Rob with a nice West Coast gag.
That is a nice one, bub. I like it. All right, let's go inshore.
Inshore right now, Captain Jimbo Keith, the Saltwater Assassin Fishing Charters Key, reports action on the grass flats right now. Has been really good this past week. Lots of speckled trout, Spanish mackerel, ladyfish, jack crevalles, all feeding on the flats on schools of bait. You want to slow your presentation down, he says, a little bit right now to keep the fast-moving predators away from your bait. And you want to fish your bait underneath a cork in these schools of bait out there, and it'll keep your, just get out there and pop it once, and that'll keep the fast-moving fish like the jacks and ladyfish away from your bait and chance to get down there and get those trout. He also says the redfish bite's been going good all week around the outer islands. He's using cut mullet, fished on the bottom around the oyster bars. Finding schools of mullet right now, he said, is the key to finding all the slot redfish up there. In the Tarpon Springs region, kind of got the same report as up in Cedar Key, getting lots of fly bait in the area on the beaches and on the grass flats. Jacks, ladyfish, trout, Spanish mackerel, and snook, all taking advantage of all the bait around right now. And that little Rapala you were talking about right now, good way to do that right now and match the hash. And it's also a great time to get the fly rods out and have some fun on the fly or light tackle, spinning tackle, and get the kids out there around those bait pods. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of action, and you can get the family out there and catch a lot of fish right now. Scallop report right now. Captain Mario Costello out of Peltier Charters out of Plantation Inn reports the scallops have been good around Homosassa bird wreck. And he's been in that 5 to 7 feet of water. The season closes on September 24th, so if you're wanting to go, now's the time to get out there and get the last bit of scallops you can. Clean water, he said, is a must. And he's been finding most of the scallops in the area from multiple types of grass, and that's been holding more scallops. The bottom of the outgoing tide is the best time to go because it's so deep right now, and most guys are getting their limits in about 3 hours. And I've got a photo here of the Cochran family with a nice limit of scallops on a recent trip with Mario.
All right, bub. Great report this week. I appreciate all your effort, and we're going to go and take a look at the hot spots from the Northwest region. He says inshore, redfish on the top of the tide, cut ladyfish, live sardines, and pinfish have been working well. And then offshore, gag grouper bite has been consistent in 75 to 120 feet of water over the rock piles and ledges. Pinfish on a standard bottom rig is the bait of choice.
All right, Rick, well, we've been talking about the CCA Star Tournament, and CCA Florida wrapped up the annual 101-day statewide family-friendly fishing competition and announced their star winners. This year was CCA's largest star to date with over 6,200 registered anglers and 19,473 catch entries. The event will officially conclude at the upcoming awards banquet on Saturday, October 20th in Crystal River. There will be dinner, cocktails, auctions, and a kids' fun zone. You can also come meet some of our FIFR crew as well. So please be sure to reserve your tickets at ccafloridastar.com. The culmination of a wonderful competition.
Sounds like fun.
Sounds like fun. All right, stay with us, guys and gals. We're headed to the Central, East, and Northeast regions when we come back. And remember, if you want to keep up with everything fishing in Florida, visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and view and tag us on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti. built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Real Legends Performance Clothing. Everything you need to be comfortable on the water all day long. Keeps you cool, dry, and protected from the sun. Durable performance technology at an unbeatable value. Shop anytime or go to reallegends.com to find a Bell store near you.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine, putting out 390 horsepower. Or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Volvo equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Volvo, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Volvo sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Push boundaries with Volvo. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations, or visit us on the web at www.flaglerce.com.
Well, Rick, we are standing in front of this beautiful truck, which you want, but I said get in line because I'm first.
I know, I'm smacking her.
Yeah, I know. All right, how would you like to win this Nissan truck? Well, the Harbor Trucks giveaway is making it easy, and all you have to do is go to their Facebook page, like it, mark going to an event, and tag a friend. But there are so many more ways to enter until the end of December, so head on over to harbortrucks.com for more information. And Rick will be giving that away at the end of the year, aren't you?
I know. January
Lucky
5th.
job, lucky job. All right, there's a lot to be excited about in the Bell's Central East region, so let's get Captain Jim Ross on the line to dial everyone in. What's our weekend look like, Jim?
Well, I'm telling you, it's going to be fairly rough out there with this hurricane going on. But I want to say something real quick. I test drove one of the Nissan Titan XDs the other day. Wow. That's all I have to say about that. But going back to the Yellowtails, we do have them in the Central East region. However, they're normally caught in the summer and late fall months of the year. So we're in that right time of the year when we can get offshore. So get out there, chum the reefs in 60 to 90 foot of water, and you can normally find these fish located in the central southern to extreme southern portion of our region. So from the big drop on the south end of Pelican Flats Reef to the southern end of the Bethel Shoal area is typically where the guys catch these yellowtails. Now, to catch them, use a small piece of cut bait or a whole silver side and put it on a small VMC hook and just drift it back in your chum slick, and that's the way you're going to get the yellowtail, just like they do down in the Keys. We don't do a lot of sandballing or stuff like that, just a lot of chumming, a lot of drifting of the chum back, or baits back in the chum. Now, here's the cool thing about yellowtail. Most of our fish are around 3 pounds. So they're bigger fish. They're kind of like our lobster. By the time they get up here, they're bigger than what they catch to the south of us. So, you know, even though we don't have a lot of them, and there's a lot of other abundant snapper species in the Bell Central East region, you can find yellowtails around here. And the other thing that we've been catching offshore lately is the king mackerel. They're showing up in a variety of places this week, guys. So you can find them on the nearshore waters. They're shadowing the menhaden and the mullet because the mullet are working down the beach right now. So anywhere from 15 to 40 foot. But with that swell that we're going to have, it's obviously going to make it a little bit dirty on the beach for the next couple of days or even possibly a week. So the reefs farther offshore from 70 to 90 feet are probably going to be more productive until those nearshore waters, you know, that swell gets a little lower and the fish come on back in and get on those bait pods again. Now, swinging inshore, Rick, one of your favorite species and one of mine too is snook. But the hurricanes are going to have both a positive and negative effect on our inshore and are beach fishing this week. The swells are going to have the mullet really starting getting to push in big numbers coming down the beach, probably the biggest numbers that we've seen so far this September. Now, more bait fish obviously means more snook following them, but you're going to have to combat those bigger waves at the inlets and at the beaches to catch these fish. Now, to do that, there's a couple of things. A sliding sinker rig gives you more weight than a standard freeline bait. So use a 4/0 to 6/0 size VMC Coastal Black Circle hook, put it in the mullet, cast it out there, get it over the top of the waves. If you're fishing off the jetties, you can normally do it a little easier than you can from the beaches. Here's the other thing that you're going to want to use. Rapala makes an X-Rap long cast series lure, and the size 12 or size 14 are great mullet imitations. You can cast them out past the breaking surf. You can cast these things a mile because of the way they're weighted, and you can also work them along the inlet jetties. Now, I found that the olive green and the red head colors seem to be working best right now. Let's hope that that continues to be the case through this dirty water phase, because I don't have any other colors right now. But most of our snook are running 25 to 40 inches, and I've got a picture here. Karen Fife fished with me the other day, and she got a really nice snook with me at 42 inches the other morning, and you can tell that was a big old smile on Karen's face for that big old snook.
I'd be smiling too.
Happy day.
All right, what you got? Tell me about some black drums.
Well, we do have them. The black drum are kind of becoming the new redfish around here. It's really weird, Rick. Our intercoastal waterway from Melbourne up through Titusville, there's schools of drum that are still hanging around the structures like bridges, docks, rocky areas along those particular parts of the Indian River. And you can also find them on most days around the Haw River Canal because, once again, lots of rocks. Why are they hanging around the rocks and the pilings? Because crabs live there. So that's obviously the best bait to use. Cut crab will work really well. But if you have a wind, one of the things I like to do is I'm in a boat. So I take a live shrimp, I put it on a VMC boxer jig head, and I bounce it along the bottom in the direction that the wind is blowing, because the blowing wind is creating current in this area because there is no current through the central part of the lagoon system. And we're catching black drum ranging from 10 to 30 pounds on average. And I've got another picture here of a black drum that Barry Hamilton was out with me here recently in the Indian River Lagoon system, and he lives down in West Melbourne, and he caught this nice black drum on exactly that rig we were just talking about.
Yeah, right. I know what that drum's saying, Brie.
What?
Boing, 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 boing,
Wah, wah. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the sea sucker hotspots from the Central East region. Thank you so much, Jim. Offshore, dolphin in 100 to 160-foot depths. Troll or pitch live baits to these fish as they are feeding under the weed lines and the patches. And then inshore, bull redfish in the south end of the Mosquito Lagoon. Use chunk baits on a western edge of the Whale-tail Flat.
I know I love catching black drum for that exact reason. It's so cool.
It's just so cool to hear them.
Wah, wah. You can't even replicate it.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yes, it does. All right, another event coming up is Flow Loco's first annual Florida Sports Fest, September 29th at 10 a.m., where Captain Rick will be giving fishing seminars all day long at the Orlando Festival Park. It should be a fun day with musical artists and good times, so make sure to join him. That is a very lively banner we just had up there, and you're in the middle of it.
I thought it looked
Of course
really
he
good.
is. All right, it's time for our captain from the Strike Zone Northeast region, Tommy Derringer. Tommy, what's happening?
Hey guys, what's happening? I've seen that flyer, man. That's a good-looking flyer, Rick. Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Stands out really good.
He's the seal.
That's right.
So wrong.
Yeah.
Both of y'all banging up on me.
All right, Tommy, let's get to it.
Here in the Strike Zone Northeast region, we don't really have the yellowtail fishery that some of the other regions to the south might have, but we do catch them, and the ones we catch, sometimes they're really big. In fact, most of the yellowtails we catch up here are in the 7 to 8 pound range. Most of those big yellowtails are caught during the cooler months, but they can be caught year-round, usually while fishing for some of our other snapper species. Right now, we do have a really good vermilion snapper bite happening throughout the region. I spoke to a few of our offshore captains, and they tell me they're doing really well on those vermilion over the last couple of weeks. They're fishing in the 120 to 140-foot depths. That's been the best. They're using the typical chicken rigs with chunk Boston mackerel, using a small 1/0 VMC circle hook. That's going to be the way to go. Now, those snapper, they're post-spawn, but they're still pretty bunched up, and there's also still a good mixed bag of mangrove and mutton snapper, and, hey, maybe even a yellowtail in those same areas. Now, also offshore, I spoke with Captain Jason Hadges from jhookfishingcharters.com. He tells me the tuna fish bite is probably just about to kick off, and it already has. He's been catching some pretty good ones. As we start to get some of these fronts coming down the coast, those blackfins are going to start to show up in better numbers. Jason said he's going to target the current change at the stream, and he's going to be looking for birds, flying fish, and any kind of bait holding over some structure near the ledge. The usual cedar plugs and rig ballyhoo with or without a skirt are going to be the way to go on the troll. Now, Captain Jason said we can expect to see some sailfish in those same areas, and a lot of the trips he's running this time of year will have multiple chances at both the tuna and the sailfish. And of course, with the weather being a little funky right now, that may blow some of those fish into the region. Now, I've got a picture here. This is Captain Jason and his client with a big blackfin tuna that they caught last week aboard the J-Hook out of St. Augustine.
That's a
Very nice.
All right, let's go inshore, Tommy.
All right, the tarpon bite continues to be strong throughout the region this week. It's been tough to get out off along the beach last week because the wind was blowing, and now this week we've got the hurricane swell coming. But, the tarpon are still out there. They've been in and around the inlets as well and the bridges, mostly chasing mullet schools. So you still have a chance to get some of those tarpon, even though the waves are real big. The last of the outgoing tide has been good, but the first of the incoming has been when things are really kicking into gear. The Volano and the Lions bridges in St. Augustine have been holding some decent-sized tarpon. Now, we have an early morning low tide this weekend. If you get out at first light, you're going to see those tarpon crashing the mullet. Just free line or float a live mullet around the bridge pilings or the inlet rocks and just hold on. Now, the tarpon, they're still on the beach as well, feeding on the pokey pods and schools of mullet. But like I said before, it might be a little rough out there. But once it calms down, look for them to be pretty thick along the beach. But just look for those pods that are getting busted, and you're going to find some really big tarpon out there this time of year. Now, speaking of big tarpon, I've got another photo. This is Captain Colin Phillips with a big tarpon that he caught out of his Pathfinder while fishing the pokey pods out there along Jacksonville Beach. Now, also inshore, we've got some really great redfish stuff going on this week. All the area inlets right now are full of mullet, and in turn, they're also full of redfish. An hour or so on either side of high or low tide is going to be the best bite. I like to use a fish finder rig with enough weight to get to the bottom, and then pin a finger mullet to a 3 to 5/0 VMC circle hook, just depending on the bait size. Now, there's a good mix of slot and over slot fish in all the inlets right now. Now, we also have a flood tide early in the afternoons over the next couple of days, and that might even be boosted up a little bit with the hurricane pushing some extra water in. Now, the redfish are going to be up in the grass looking for small crabs and shrimp, and you're going to want to use something weedless. And my favorite rig is going to be the Saltwater Assassin Lil Boss in golden brim rigged on the Saltwater Assassin weedless swim hook. Now, that setup looks just like a little shrimp or a little crab and can easily and probably more importantly quietly be slid through the grass right into the redfish's strike zone. Make sure to get to your spot early, especially with that storm out there. It's going to push the water in real quick, and watch for those redfish slurping crabs off the edges of the feeder creek as the tide comes up. Now, I've got one last photo here. I don't get to do this very often these days, but I did get to take my dad out and do some flood tide fishing. So here's Tom Sr. with a nice one that he sight fished in about 4 inches of water.
All right, man. Your dad's looking good. I just want you to know he looks a lot like you, but we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northeast region.
Thanks.
Tommy says offshore, mixed bag of snapper in 120 to 140 foot depths throughout the region, and then inshore, flounder and redfish in all the area inlets on an hour on the either side of the low or the high tide. Target rocks, docks, and seawalls with live finger mullet for those flounders and reds.
All right, if you're in the Panhandle region, we're bringing you your captain right here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report next, so stay happy and stay tuned. We'll be right back. Happy, happy, happy.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Harbor Trucks. Visit harbortrucks.com. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Suffix, always use the best line. The IGFA, fish for the future. Flagler Construction Equipment, your exclusive Volvo dealer. And Okuma, inspired fishing.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
Outside is a bully. There are bears, screaming fleet-footed waters. Arrogant mountains. Goliaths. 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 And 100 other excuses to stay inside. But there are ways to deal with bullies.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine, putting out 390 horsepower. Or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week is about the power poles and its unique design, which allows us to deploy them and get them out of the way. So let me explain to you what I'm talking about. When I come home after a day of fishing, my 10-foot blades are sticking up a little bit too high in order to get them inside of the garage. By using the foot switch that's mounted up on the bow of the boat, I simply push it down so that I can get the proper amount of clearance and back in the boat, and here we go. Another way that sometimes the power poles are in the way is simply we deploy them going through creeks with overhanging limbs or even under bridges. Now, you guys, every once in a while, you love to fish out of the back of the boat, and so do I. And sometimes guys feel like, oh, well, that power pole, it's a distraction for them. Well, guess what? We can push the button 2 times, deploy the power poles. Now they're completely submerged and out of the way until you're ready to go home. So those guys that I see at the boat show and you ask me, how do you get it in your garage? Now there's the secret, and that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week. Goes up.
Yep, thanks for the tips, Rick. Captain Pat Deneen in the Yeti Panhandle region is closing us out. Pat, if you're ready, send us well into our weekend.
Yeah, Brie, we don't have yellowtail snappers up here, but we finally have some good water move into the area, and it's within a reasonable distance from the shore. Offshore trolling for pelagics is really good right now. Pretty much once you get past 50 fathoms, anywhere off the Panhandle, the water's clear, blue, with good amounts of sargassum, and it's that nice yellow sargassum, the grass that's full of bait, nice alive with bait. We fished this past weekend north and east of the spur, finding nice grass lines and patches, had a steady bite from mahis, a few wahoos, and released a white marlin. Other boats fishing near the elbow had similar results with billfish and meatfish. The weather was beautiful, and there were plenty of boats out there getting after them. And it's nice to be able to run 30 to 60 miles versus 100-plus miles that we've had to all summer to find the good water. Most of our bites were on ballyhoo or skirted ballyhoo. And like I said, it's good right now, so get out there and find the grass and the bait, and you're going to find some fish. There's a photo of my mate Jack Lewis with a swordfish we caught first thing Sunday morning fishing near the spur. And then also offshore, the big amberjacks are still being pulled up from the deeper Panhandle wrecks. That pretty weather that had so many boats out blue water fishing has also had a lot of boats of all sizes going to the distance to find some big amberjacks. Generally, the deeper, less accessible spots are going to have those heavier fish. As we've mentioned before on the show, good, strong, swimming, lively baits are the baits to fish. And on those wrecks in 300-plus feet of water, the jacks are often down 250 feet or deeper. So depending on the current, you may need a pretty big slip sinker to get your bait down there, particularly if your strong bait doesn't want to go down there. And then be sure to use a long enough leader to give your bait some freedom of movement. There's a photo of Troy Forbes with a beefy amberjack. He pulled off a wreck in 380 feet of water using a small Jack Crevalle, and those fish were hanging down at that 280, 300 foot of water.
Beefy. House of pain, Jackson.
That's a lot of pulling.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Rick, the big redfish are making their presence known, kind of like when you were up here a couple years ago. But they're not only in the inlets, they're on the grass flats and roll downs in the back part of the bays. There's plenty of bait in the Hogtown and Horseshoe Bayous on the north side of Choctawhatchee Bay, and on the south side, Alaqua and LaGrange Bayous. Actually, that's backwards. But anyway, the eastern end of the bay has got plenty of bait, and the big redfish are down there. And you find the bait, you're going to find the redfish and also some big Jack Crevalles. Some instances, these fish are pushing the bait to the top. It's real easy to figure out where you need to be. Otherwise, look for birds, or in the deeper areas of the bayous and bays, use your bottom machine and look for the bait. Cast topwater chugger-style baits, midwater swim baits, or large paddle-tail soft plastics. And most of these redfish are going to be well over the slot in that 30 to 35-pound range. If you want the slot fish shallower, close to the shoreline on grassy, sandy bottom areas, casting spoons or weedless artificials. There's a photo of Diane Newman of Destin with a really nice redfish she caught casting spoons in Hogtown Bayou area. She and her husband, Walter, they landed over 30 fish that day, so they had a great day on the water. And then finally inshore. Sir?
Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, man, the scallops over in St. Joe. They were slow last year, but they are packing them this year. They're big, fat, and numerous. The area behind Black's Island and toward the fire tower is always good. Look for the potholes and search the edges where the sand meets the grass. And there's also some flounders in those areas, so keep a pole spear handy. But make sure you display a diaphragm and be aware of the limits. The Florida Wildlife, they do a really good job monitoring that fishery. And be aware, a 5-gallon bucket holds more than 5 gallons. So if you fill a 5-gallon bucket to the top with scallops, you're over the limit, and you might just end up with a citation.
So, Pat, I want to ask you, this is the first time you ever reported about scallops.
Yeah.
Do they do it the same way? Is it still 4 to 6 feet of water? I missed that in your report.
Yeah, it's 3 to 5 feet of water on real low tides. Sometimes it's just arm length of water. But ideally, you look for those potholes. The grassy areas are going to be shallower, maybe 2 foot depth, to the top of the grass, and then you find the pothole, and it's maybe 3 to 5 foot of water. I like it where you don't have to hold. You can pretty much almost reach them, but keep your butt up on the surface.
All right, thank you so much. And Pat can almost reach him. Me, I'd have to dive down 3 feet because his arms are a lot longer than mine. So let's take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Inshore, cast topwater baits early in the morning for the big redfish around Hogtown Bayou. And then offshore, look for the grass north and east of the spur and troll for dolphin, wahoos, and billfish.
All right, Rick, up next, we're telling you what to get rigged up for next week. So stay hooked and we'll be right back on the Florida
Insider
Fishing
Report.
Yeah.
Introducing the 2018 Nissan Titan Half-Ton. The Titan you've known and loved since 2004 has been redesigned. Titan comes with a 5.6-liter gas V8 engine putting out 390 horsepower, or opt for the Cummins Turbo Diesel with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty and up to $9,600 in total savings. The Titan has never been so affordable. So for special hassle-free Florida Insider Fishing Report pricing, call one of our truck specialists now at 833-GOT-TRUCKS or visit harbortrucks.com/Rick.
Master your most challenging offshore experience with confidence and ease with Yamaha Helmmaster. Precise, intuitive control on the open seas. Unrivaled ease for maneuvering and docking in port. And now SetPoint adds 3 new dimensions to boat control. Maintain boat position with fish point, or a position and heading with stay point, or a heading while you drift with drift point. Yamaha Helmmaster. Now with SetPoint. Complete digital control for today's larger offshore boats.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide-and-seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
When
you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to FloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Welcome back. Make sure to tune in next week because we're talking fishing off piers and jetties.
What?
I love that kind of
Dave's
stuff.
That'll be
favorite
fun.
show.
But that's going to be some good rigging and techniquing.
Yep, I do. I like to walk around, that's why.
Yes, you do. He paces.
He likes to go on, as Guy would say, a walkabout.
Walkabout.
Exactly. I can't stand
You got to say
still.
it with an accent of some
The boat's
sort.
not big enough, you know. I can't,
You
get
can
my
make your
can't get my
passes on
laps
the
in. I'm
boat. Are
like my
you
little
kidding me?
skipper dog. She'll run 4 miles on a 15-foot boat during the day.
And they make medicine for both you and the dog.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. Rick, you were just in Alaska. Tell us a quick story about Alaska.
Awesome, man. I took the owner of Contender Boats, Joe, and we caught 30 salmon the first day on fly.
So
all
awesome.
beautiful chrome run silvers.
Never
and
been
the
there.
second day, we
I'll
watched
go
a
one day.
bear watch us both fish
That's
for
crazy.
an hour.
That's
Sat on the
crazy.
bank
Have
across
fun
the-
fishing in
it was the
Florida,
coolest
guys.
thing.
See you
No
next
bears
week.
here.